Hey, Dr. Cindy here. I tell you, I get my inspiration from so many different places, and of course, Facebook is one of the main ones. And one of my dear friends, Sturge Moreland, is the inspiration for this essay that I'm writing, or that I wrote, that started out as a response to him because he tagged me on a post that had to do with comments from his white friends that always started out with the caveat, not all white people. Now, black people hear it all the time. Not all white people. I get it. I don't get it as much. I think the majority of the white friends that I have on Facebook, people who I've talked with on the phone now and have conversed through Messenger, get it. But there are some white people who still just do not get what that means when they use that phraseology. So Sturge asked if I would comment on it, and of course it turned into an essay that I just copied and pasted and put into my Word document, and it's going to be an essay on my website, www.calise-writer.com. Again, for anybody who doesn't know me, usually just a couple of my friends will get on. Maybe top 5, 6 people get on. But for anybody who sees this, who doesn't know me, my name is Dr. Cynthia Elise Smith, and I am an anti-racism essayist and activist of sorts. I use my writing. My mantra is, I'm not trying to change your mind, but it's my business to open it. Anyway, actually, I'm making it my business to open it. So anyway, the topic is not all white people. Here goes. Excuse me. Not all white people is a direct product of the individuality. I want you to pay attention to that word. The individuality that is enjoyed by all white people. And I'm going to repeat that. Not all white people is a direct product of the individuality enjoyed by all white people. This means you, white people, have the luxury of being one person, just one person. I will explain for a bit of historical context. Before, and people who know me and who have read some of my essays and who have watched some of these videos, they are probably pretty aware of what I'm about to say because I drill it all the time because it's necessary to drill this to people who, most specifically, who were born after the 1960s when all this stuff started and this whole individuality thing kicked off and interpersonal racism. So, before the 60s, white people actually identified as a collective of whiteness. All you need do, and I've said this a number of times, all you need to do is go back into history, Google, if necessary, Tarzan, any newsreels where white people were inventing or most often exploring, being the first white man to achieve or to reach. So they were identified as a collective of whiteness and of whiteness of man in particular. After the civil rights era of the 60s, the collective view was replaced by and I'm going to be using words that it's going to hit you, go, yeah, okay? That collective view was replaced by a cover of blindness. Okay? Do my people have their lenses on? I mean, all my people, everybody who's watching, do you have on your lenses? Because what happened was the collective view of whiteness was replaced by a cover of blindness, and terms like normal, neutral, and natural and nude were used instead to subtly identify white. Think. I need your critical thinking caps on for this. Think handbags. I mean, handbag. You know what? I don't have my... Forgive me. Think bandages. I'm not really trying to do a Trump, okay? Think bandages, hosiery, behavior, language. Think those things when you think in terms of normal, neutral, natural, and nude. Simultaneously, the Me movement of the 70s. Look it up, people. The Me movement of the 70s created the notion of individual, as in responsibility and accountability and identity. White racist America, which still existed, it didn't go away after the 60s. So white racist America had now effectively hidden its collective responsibility and accountability for its racist past, i.e., it had become post-racial, and white individual identity became normal, neutral, and natural. Institutional racism was effectively hidden. And individualized behavior was now defined. Let me repeat that. Institutional racism was effectively hidden. And interpersonal, individualized behaviors were now defined as racist or not racist. That's where you get the whole notion of reverse racism. That's that sharing, where the oppressed have to share that same label because it's all about individual behavior and not systemic institutional denial of opportunity and equity and equality. Okay, so I think I'm catching a cold. I hope not. I hope I'm not catching a cold. But anyway, I digress, as I usually do, but people that know me know I do. So, Black people, on the other hand, never had this privilege of individuality, even as we try to attain it and even as we generalize ourselves using the guise of unity. But that's another essay. In fact, I've got 2 essays on my website. If you go to my website blog and you search for the term body black, you'll find the 2 essays. Now, I'll explain the reason in 4 words. Unconscious bias against black. Okay? This is why white people generalize us, because of unconscious bias against black. It is so deeply ingrained in the mind that it extends on a spectrum. If you can imagine, it extends on a spectrum from fear of dark spaces and places to darkness as in behavior, all the way to the dark of human skin. That's how deep it goes. Racial antipathy lives within each and every white person, whether white people want to believe it or not. You don't realize that it exists because you have been conditioned to accept the individual expressions of racism as overtly abhorrent behavior of which you may not abide. This was part of conditioning during the Me movement to separate collective whiteness into an individual, personal expression. And what that did was reduce or erase accountability, all of the responsibility and accountability for history of white racism in America. But you group us together. You generalize us almost instinctively. Think. I really want everybody to think, because, see, this affects everybody. We're grouped together. We're generalized. Think minorities. Anybody want to know about that whole minority word and the examination and analysis of it? Just go to my YouTube page or my website or even my formal Facebook page and look for the video on minority and majority and how I break that down in terms of what its value really represents. People think it represents numerical for us. No, it don't. But anyway, here I go. So think minorities, people of color, and all the other socially accepted terms used to encapsulate Black people. Now, I know you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, wait a minute, though, but everybody say people of color. Ain't too many people that don't say minority. Yeah, but see, you have to think about it through this, in this context of how people are identified, individualized, or generalized in this case. All right? Where are the socially acceptable words used to encapsulate white people? Other than white. Oh, yes. There's normal, there's neutral, and there's natural. Then there's regular. Oh, and let's not forget classical. There's classical. Whiteness can be encapsulated by those terms, among others. So here's a question for white people. How quickly do you write? And I would say some Black people too. How quickly do you write, not all Black people, to provide a modicum of individual cover for Black people? How often? How quickly? In essence, this generalization means what one Black person does, all Black people do or are capable of doing. There's a caveat, though, because it's not generally thought about when there is something good, like a student who gets 16 acceptances at colleges and universities, or students that get $1 million in scholarships. See, those things are rare. They just don't happen to Black people. That doesn't happen to us. That we, if anybody might say, you might say, not all Black people in that respect. Okay? I wouldn't, but there are many who do. But I got to go back to find where I was because I digressed a little again. So the caveat is, since in order for the ideology of white superiority to be sustained within the subconscious, the black person must be inherently bad and inferior. This too is deeply ingrained. Think. Think. In order for white superiority to be sustained within the minds, the unconscious minds of these white people who do all of the generalizing, there has to be an inherent belief of the inferiority and the darkness of black people. Black people live in a perpetual awe status from which we struggle daily to differentiate ourselves. It is why we vehemently try to distance ourselves as individuals from the Omarosas, the Cosbys, the R. Kellys, the Jussie Smollets. Not even the perception of wrongdoing allows for escape from being all the same. But white people can be the lone wolf every time. Are you hearing me? White people can be the lone wolf, the one individual, every time. You are never considered collectively responsible for anything on this planet. Now, I have to say, in a lot of black circles, oh yes, we do generalize you, because we understand generalization, most of us, and collectivity, because we live it every day. This is our experience. And why you don't understand, because it's not your experience. Therefore, when white people say not all white people, here's what you're doing. When you say not all white people, you were exercising some of that white privilege that you hear so much about. You're exercising that privilege. Remember, privilege ain't all about whether you drive a nice car or you live in a nice house, white person. That's economic. That's your focal point, because that's the subjugation with which you live. That is your economic class cast. I get into that. I'm getting ready to go into a whole nother thing. But the point is, you are exercising a privilege that only lives inside of the system of racism. This is a benefit, a privilege of yours that is so unconscious, you don't even realize that it exists, because it's what? It's normal, it's neutral, and it's natural for you to think that you have no collective responsibility. You're that lone wolf, not accountable, not responsible. But you are. You are. And understanding that you are accountable and responsible as a collective is the key to your understanding the pervasiveness of racism institutionally and your unconscious conditioning. Some of the stuff that I've said isn't in this essay, but like your collective conditioning isn't in the essay, but I thought that it was important to put that part in there. I'm not sure who's with me today. Um, I can look and see if there's anybody with any questions. Let me see if there's anybody with any questions or anything. I don't think so, because I don't really see. Here, let me come out of that and make this bigger. Okay. It says 6 p. Okay. It says. Okay, I want you to excuse this bedroom. I'm always in my bedroom, and my bedroom's a hot mess. Okay, I saw your point from the. Okay, okay. Let's see if we got any. Ah, dang. Yeah, we do. I'm going to scroll this thing back so I can see. Okay, I got Khalil. Hey, I've got Spencer, Dan, Brian, Griff, and Russell. Hey, guys. How you doing? I'm glad that you tune in because it shows you're interested in what's going on and you're interested in learning some of this stuff that we don't really think about on a regular basis. But I make it my point to open up your mind so that you can think about some of this stuff. Let's see, do you have any questions, guys? Anything? I think, who else is? Walter was watching. I'm not sure if everybody is. I just know that there are some people who are here. Tamika. Hi, Tamika. How are you? I know we don't agree on a smelly thing, but that's okay. I respect your opinion. Okay, Dan is waving. Hey, Tamika. David! Hey, cohort. How are you? You keep talking about this book that you're writing, David, but I wanna read it. I wanna be one of your readers. You got any galleys or anything like that yet, or you still in your draft stage? Let's see. Some people are actually probably Shing. Okay, my Shing is on. Hi, Shing. Hi, darling. Tonya. Hi. I hope all you guys are actually really still on. Oh yeah. Okay. It says 10. Hey, I got 10 people watching. Is anybody interested in talking about or oh, of course, when this video is over, I'll do what I usually do. I will acknowledge that you were on with the like and whatnot, and if you have any questions that aren't responded to here, I will respond to them after the video is over. If you know of anybody who might be interested in what I'm talking about, please feel free to share. You're welcome to go to my YouTube channel. I've got all of 20, maybe 7. Stop, I had to laugh. About 27 subscribers. But I'm not on there for that, really. I'm on there to just do what I do. I basically take these Facebook Live videos, and I use a little program I got, and I add a little before, and I can do text captions, and then I put my ending on there, and that's that. And I put it on YouTube so that it'll have just a little bit of professionalism or something in there, and I will generally put it on my formal page as well, the video and the essay. The essay goes in notes, and then the video goes in video. So there's a few ways that you can see what I'm doing and listen to what I'm saying or watch me be foolish. Anyway, let's see what else we got going on here. Hi, Mark. Hey. All righty. Okay, I got. Is that why phrases like "we have a drug problem in the black community" really means? Hold on, let me see. Ah, dag, hold on. Let me take that. Okay, really means black people. I'm trying to hit the see more so that I can. You know what? I can't. Oh, dag. You know what? I lost that because I'm not really sure how to work this thing. I should be using my mouse instead of. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Generalizations. Black on black crime. You know, You can't, there's nobody running to say, not all black people. It's just black on black crime. But if you say white on white crime, which is actually something that's not ever said, because even though it exists to the same or even possibly even a larger degree because of the sheer population, um, you don't hear it. You don't hear. Let's see. I see your point from the generation of those born in the 60s and the 70s. Okay, hold on. Let's see. It says see more, but I can't. Okay. It won't allow me to see more than just the beginning of this, so I'm not really sure what the entire Bradley, I'm not sure what all of the comment is. I'm going to assume here that you're saying, but the problems we are having today. I'm not sure what you're saying, but the but there is giving me a bit of a caveat, like there's something different about what's going on today. And I will say to you, no, there isn't anything different today than what was going on then, except for the fact that we go through eras in our linear time span historically. And as we move through our living history, the problems, if they're not corrected, do remain the same. So the same problems with, say, segregation that we experienced back before the 60s is the same in the 21st century in 2019. The difference, so the problem still exists, but the only differences that exist is that it's not legal. But it's not as though they haven't found other ways to affect the same thing, because it's institutional. Racism is institutional. Okay? Maybe once I get off of here, I'll be able to explain more. Let's see what else we got. Hey, Shing. I wish I could make a defense. Hi, Eileen. I know who you are. Yep. I know exactly who you are. Yes. I know. I went to Gwinnett too. I graduated last year. And I know you. I do know you. And you made a comment here. You said I can't change that. Nobody's asking you to. Nobody's asking you to change that. What you are probably feeling in this moment that you wrote that is what black people feel every day. We can't change the fact that we're black. And in the 21st century, I suspect not many of us want to. We spent generations learning to love the skin we're in and learning to disavow all of those deep notions, unconscious, biased notions of darkness and blackness that were applied to our skin. Okay? We could have been called chartreuse. Technically, our skin color is brown and variations of brown. But now that has been given to Latinos and Latinas. So racism goes a lot deeper than skin color, as we all know. Anyway. So we try and have been very successful in a lot of cases in owning our blackness. The challenge for white people is to own their whiteness. That's your challenge. Own it. You are. Okay? More than, it's not just white people that are normal, neutral, and natural in this world. But white people have to understand that. It doesn't just apply to them. It doesn't just apply to white people. Okay. And so that idea that you can't help who you are, nobody's asking you to help who you are. We know who you are. You know who we are, or you think you do. And what we say is, you've been wrong for a very long time about who you thought we are, who you think we are. And that's from conditioning. That's from indoctrination into a white supremacist culture. So when you feel personally assaulted by, but not me, not all white, not all of us are like that. How about for a hot second realizing that not all black people are like that either? Okay? And I'm being a little bit facetious, but the point is, we are all individuals. And black people should be able to enjoy that privilege as well. But something happened during that same time, because while white people were being individualized, black people were coming together as a collective. We had to. It was part of our identification and association with being black. We had to come to an understanding that black wasn't bad, because we were associating our blackness with who we are as a people. So while we're doing the we as a people, we're not paying attention to all the individualization going on among the white people. Which is why we have still a difficult time separating and differentiating, trying to give ourselves that privilege of individuality. It was so complicated. Almost cussed. It is very complex, because while black people want to be individual, our collective unity in our blackness as a thing, as a state of being, kind of keeps us from doing that. Except when one of us does something wrong. Now notice what I said, one of us. I didn't say one of me. I said one of us. You see how deeply ingrained that is? It's deep. Okay, let me see if we got anything else. Is that Gail? Oh no, that was Curtis Ayers. Okay. I've seen what you're talking about. It even happened on my page when one of my white friend pops up and says, not all white folks, not getting much of a discussion on what I'm saying anymore. Yeah, because it becomes internalized, because that individuality is so deeply ingrained that they must. We do the same thing, but we do it on we do it when one of us does something wrong, like Cosby, and just like I mentioned, Omarosa or Kelly, things like that. Oh, we will slide away from that. We will dissect the umbilical cord. They will lose their black card. They get ostracized from the club. But the minute that we read something about $1 million in scholarships, we like, oh, we as the people, we can do this. We this, we that, we. Yeah. But white people are just ingrained in individuality. It's all about them, all about one person. Like even to the extent, I'm going to give that example of the school ladies, the ladies who were cheating to get their children in school. They're still being treated as individual cases, even though the media is trying to generalize, and all of us are trying to, and people are trying, and because it's kind of like a human, I'll say, frailty to generalize and say that's the rich, that's the this, that's that, that's the reason why, because the rich or the poor or the, so you see where that goes. It's just that in a racialized America, it really isn't fair to to generalize a group of people negatively the way that white people do, and in turn deny opportunity, equity, and equality and justice on the basis of those biases and those generalizations. Are you a history buff? Not necessarily. It's just that it is important in order to understand where we are today. And thank you, Bill Butler, for asking that question. It's important to understand where we are today relative to where we're going in the future. You can't know any of that unless you know your past. And the people who are running things know it very well. They know that. They know all about time. They know about the linear nature of time, which is why they go back into time to revise history, so that when you in the present look at it, you say, oh, so slavery was black people working in the fields for no money. Without really knowing what's going on. Yeah, so no, I'm not necessarily a history buff, but history is important to know. And unbleached history is important to know. And in order for me to do what I do, to explain why we behave the way we behave today, it is a direct result of what went on before. A lot of the behaviors that whites and blacks exhibit today are a direct result of the enslavement. The generalizations and grouping of black people by white people comes from the enslavement. Now, I could even take it even further back, but that's not what I do because I'm not a history buff. It ain't really about European history for me, okay? It's about American history. From the moment that we landed in chains on the shores. And when I say we, I can say that because I have direct ancestors who were enslaved and brought over to Virginia and brutalized. Okay, let's see. Hey, Michael. Mass shooters are usually white males in their 20s. Yes, Eileen, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But each and every one of them are what? What are they? What are they considered? Lone wolves. But if an individual, black teenager, shoots someone, then that black teenager becomes all black thugs. And it affects all black teenagers. Yes, Bill. You're doing that's a generalization. All people use drugs at the same rate. That may or may not be the case, because those kinds of things fluctuate. But yeah, there is an epidemic of drugs in every community. There is more on white crime. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. And again, it fluctuates. The point of that is the grouping of black people as thugs is what is why the term black on black crime is used. It's really a white supremacist part of the white supremacist playbook to talk about black on black crime as though it's the only thing that exists. Okay. I teach young African American students. I hope I get things right. Eileen, just be honest. Be honest. Be truthful. Search out and find the unbleached history. When I say unbleached, you search out and you find the history that is the truth, not some watered down, socially acceptable white version of the truth. Because those are that's what's being taught out here. You know what, Eileen? Oh my goodness. Eileen says, my one little girl is from Nigeria. Her mother says she doesn't like being called an African American. Why do you suppose that is the case? That is so interesting. And in fact, I did an essay on that. I wish I could pull it up. I'll put it in the comments. It's got to do with definitions of whiteness and ethnicity and blackness in America and identity. Of course she doesn't want to be called African American. African American has a stigma to it because African American means black African descendants of the enslavement. Hashtag ADOS. Hey, Dr. Cornell. Anyway, I usually say black American descendants of the enslavement. I use the enslavement in the same way that I don't really like to use the term slavery. I like to use the term enslavement because it gives it more of what it really was about. For me, it's like the Holocaust, the enslavement. So I say that. Anyway, there's a stigma associated, and this is what I'm talking about here. That generalization of African American people, descendants of the enslavement, as being bad, lazy, dirty, you name it, every connotation of darkness and badness that you can muster associated with the term black. Okay? That is what is represented in the African American. And no matter how we try to wash it and clean it, it is considered who we are. An African coming over from Nigeria has her identity tied with her region. African American descendants of the enslavement, that was taken away from us. That was stolen. We don't have that. We don't have a geographical reference other than the entire friggin' African continent because we were taken from so many different places on the continent. She's from Nigeria. So she looks at her nationality. Now, I'll tell you something, though. I think the Nigerian mother may need to understand and get a grip that as of the 2010 census, I got an essay on that too. As of the 2010 census, she in the same boat as us, and she is African American because they consider African American and black African American, black, those words are all considered African American. now. So where ethnic ethnic non-white people, say from the Caribbean or from Africa or other places, can come here and think that they can use their nationality as their identity first. No, not in America. Not in America, where institutionalized racism exists. You are going to be identified by the color of your skin first. That's first tool. Tool number one. Brown, black, okay. What's your name? Okay. Your name is Ogalinga from Nigeria. You still black. Troop, next. You still African American. Once you come over here, you're going to fight that fight. You're going to have to. It's just the way it is. I taught at an all African American Catholic elementary school for 3 years. Ooh, I don't get to see the rest of your comment. I'll see it once I get off because I'm very interested in that. That must have been really interesting, to say the least. Hi, Dr. Dawn. I hope you're still on here. It says 3 people. So I don't know. You may have gotten on and gotten off, but I know that there are 3 people that it shows 3. It says live and it says 3 with an eyeball. So I take that to say that there are 3 people who are still watching. But I do want to acknowledge you, Dr. Dawn, one of my dissertation committee. Thank you. I love you. And, oh, don't let me forget, preeminent historian. You want to know who a history buff is? Dr. Dawn Dennis, professor at, oh my goodness, California? In California. I'm not going to say which college because I don't want to get it wrong. I don't know whether it's Cal State, but I know that she is a preeminent history professor at a university in California. Oh, okay, now I know what you're talking about. I had to listen for a minute. Okay, Curtis, good. Cecil Hankins, it's those generations that sustained white supremacy. Without the generalization, it makes it. I'll read the rest of that comment, Cecil, when I get off of here, because for some reason this won't allow me to do that. I don't even know how long I've been on here, and I do assume I think I've been on here for a while. Dig this. Okay, Curtis, you know what? I don't even get into that. I don't get into that. You have dig this. We as true Hebrews have been taught that the white Europeans in Israel are Hebrews. I don't get into that. And I'm going to tell you why. Because that suggests a religious history, a rabbit hole that I just do not want to go down. I just do not want to go down to that. I mean, of course, you're talking about Hebrews and nationality, but that almost inevitably plays into religion, and I just do not go there because of my own personal beliefs, okay, in religion, God, and faith. And I'm not going to go there on that because while racism exists in the institution of religion, I will discuss it from that standpoint, but I'm not getting into Hebrew Israelites and we the chosen people and all that crap, because frankly, I don't believe in any of that crap. And I'm sorry to say it that way. I don't believe in any of that. Okay, unless I have found and still have not, and have been researching, but still have not found any real correlative information on all of that, I'm not going to get into that. I just am not. Sorry about that. Okay. Now, I don't have any more comments here. I'm not even sure how many other people are on here. I maybe talk to myself, which is okay. Because I'm going to be putting this up. And so you'll be able to look at it and understand what I'm talking about. If you have any additional comments, questions, feel free to message me on Messenger. You can just don't do the video audio thing because I won't answer. But you can text me on Messenger. I mean, unless I know you. Unless I've conversed with you in that way before, I won't answer. But if you want to text me a question, a comment, whatever through Messenger, that's fine. If you want to text a comment or question through this video, you can. As soon as I get off of here, I'm going to, and it gets uploaded to YouTube, I will answer all the questions that I see to the best of my ability. Anyway, if there are no questions, which I don't think that there are. Nope. Oh, Melissa Clay, hi. Yeah. Are there any questions? Ask me a question. This essay was about not all white people. I want some of my white people, my white friends to chime in, because I got a bunch of y'all. I have a bunch of individual white people friends, a lot of whom are very astute, very knowledgeable about the system of racism, institutionalized racism. They know the difference between interpersonal, individualized racist behavior and institutional racism. So chime in. I mean, I'll stay on here for a little while longer unless I don't get anything. Don't be afraid. You can talk to me. You can ask me questions. You see what I do. If I don't agree or if I call something crap, I mean, it's just me. It's my opinion. So I don't want you to take it personally. I don't want you to take it as an offense. If you do take it as an offense, I apologize, because that's not my intent. So, okay, Arthur. Hi, Arthur. I got one person watching. Hey, Arthur. I think that's the way it works, because I see something in green and it shows that somebody is watching, and then I see that eyeball up there. So, Arthur, I'm going to be getting ready to go because I'm not getting any questions or comments that I can see at this point, and I have answered some of the ones already online. And the essay was about not all white people and an examination of that phrase. And it was inspired by my friend Sturge Moreland. Okay. If there are no more questions, if there's no more comments, Cindy out. Bye-bye.